Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have some big news going into a home Grand Prix with Renault here for the French Grand Prix, and that is we have signed a 1-year extension alongside Daniel Ricciardo. Both of us will return for at least one more season in 2021 with Renault. On top of that, both of us signed a deal to have a 1-year option on top of the 1-year deal that we signed, so we could end up both racing for Renault for 2022. But I think what's happening here, to be honest, is we've as well signed the deal for 750,000 Canadian dollars for the one season. We will be taking some grid penalties this weekend, by the way, as we are changing some components in the car going past, of course, the limit of what you are allowed. So we are probably getting this 1-year option for both drivers, in my opinion, probably because of the prospect that Renault just signed of Oscar Piastri, and they are trying to make sure they have an option to put alongside Piastri for 2022. So it's going to be interesting to see how things work out there. Now this video is going to be going out probably a day later than it should. I was hoping to put this out on Wednesday. It's probably going to go out on Thursday because I'm at my girlfriend's and, well, one of her cats decided to destroy the internet wire, the power cable, so there's no Wi-Fi. Meaning that I can't upload it. So we're waiting for a replacement that's supposed to be here on Wednesday, hopefully, and we'll go on from there. Obviously, not ideal, but you know, it will make do with what we can here as we come through into this practice session with the Renault colors. And honestly, we've had such an up and down rookie season as a Formula 1 driver that I was really ecstatic just to get this contract extension signed, simply for the fact that we can kind of go throughout the rest of this season, you know, in like a stress-free kind of, you know, mentality, and then that's really exciting to be able to kind of take that into this weekend, especially a home weekend for the team, as Renault really wanted to kind of get next season's lineup kind of determined. So we are as well going to see some rain this weekend here in the Grand Prix, so that is surely going to spice things up as we come into qualifying now, and we're into the final push of this 2020 season already. Of course, as you guys know, with the pandemic regulations or changes, of course the season got shortened down to just 16 races, so we are coming up on the final handful of races, and it's a big dogfight between Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas for this world championship. Is Hamilton going to become a 7-time world champion this season, or is Valtteri Bottas going to win his first world championship? He's still trying to recover from that mechanical failure that he of course faced in Monza. Hamilton has not had any mechanical failures this season. We are only running in one qualifying session here. We ran Q1 just to kind of get an idea of where the car was, and we were P11 just behind Ricciardo, but we're not going to run Q2 because of the fact that we will be taking a grid penalty, and even if I was to somehow qualify on pole, the grid penalties that we've accumulated would still put us at the back. So I just retire from Q2 and call it there. And you see Ricciardo makes it into Q3, which is great to see. Sainz and Norris are going to be the first two out alongside Pierre Gasly, Raikkonen, and myself, as we'll line up for this race at the very back of the grid here for the French Grand Prix home race for Renault.
What a great day out there today. Let's talk about what happened. Do you think that grid penalty was justified?
I mean, obviously, you know, team broke the rules, we had to, but yeah, I mean, that's the rules, so of course that grid penalty is very justified.
I've heard rumors that you're interested in moving to this team. Is there any truth to that?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I've signed my contract extension with Renault. I'm quite happy right here with this team, Claire.
Well, thanks anyway.
Come along then to France, host of the world-famous Tour de France. But we're not talking 2 wheels today, we're talking 4, in a country widely thought of as giving birth to the art of motor racing back in the late 1800s. We've come a long way since then, and you're about to find out how far. It's time for the French Grand Prix. Mastering a lap of Paul Ricard means getting to know 15 corners, 6 left and 9 right, for an overall lap distance of 3.6 miles. The two halves of the long Mistral Straight are separated by a heavy braking zone into a potential overtaking hotspot at the Chicane Nord. And watch out for the drivers running onto the distinctive coloured stripes, which are low in grip and highly abrasive. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Sergio Perez, and Ricciardo, Stroll, Kvyat, Hamilton, they've taken a grid penalty, and Lando Norris, Gasly, Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Grosjean, Magnussen, Russell, Alexander Albon, and Nicholas Latifi, Sainz, and the Rainmaster. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
This is going to be an interesting race. You see, the rain's going to be coming a little bit before halfway, so I'm going to start on mediums. I feel like mediums are going to be the way to go here. As you can see as well, Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon there on the softs as we'll get ready to take off from the very back of the grid. We're not the only one back here, of course, with a grid penalty. Albon and Sainz join us as, of course, Albon a little bit more misfortune because he made it into Q3, which means he cannot change his tires, so he's having to start on those softs now. As this is going to be an interesting one, because if this stays dry the whole way, which it won't, but if it were to, then you know, our chances of getting a really good result are pretty limited. But we know rain is coming, and it's surely to spice things up here. Can the drivers on softs make it to the wet? We're about to find out. Home race for the team with Renault is underway. The French Grand Prix kicks off as we follow everybody in towards turn one. A bit of a slow start for myself. Meanwhile, you can see up front, you've got Lewis Hamilton, or sorry, Valtteri Bottas, that is, side by side with Sebastian Vettel, as well Max Verstappen, Leclerc, and my teammate of Ricciardo, all to follow Lewis Hamilton, one of the drivers further down the order, actually, with a grid penalty, as we continue to watch everyone scrap it out. There's Verstappen and Leclerc going wheel to wheel now, both on the softs. Everybody in that top 10 is on the soft compound tire, of course. Now, the highest driver not on softs is Lando Norris in the McLaren. Now, reason I mention that is for one reason specifically, is we did gain a few spots here over Latifi and Sainz, but I mentioned that because this is shaping up to be very similar to the Hungarian Grand Prix, where all the drivers that couldn't, of course, start on the set of tires of their choice, they had to start on their qualifying tires for making Q3. They didn't have enough tire to get to the rain, and they, of course, paid the price, and Lando Norris on the mediums was able to go to the rain and benefit greatly. We're seeing something similar, I think, shape up right here, where it could be a repeat of Norris in that success from the Hungarian Grand Prix. We dive one up the inside of Alex Albon. Contact, he runs us out of room. He runs us straight off the racetrack now. I'm saying, okay, we're going to give it right back to you. More contact. He's going to do the same thing. Leaves no room. Big contact. Somehow both drivers avoid damage. Albon not going to be happy about that one, but I'm certainly not happy either. I was on the first corner, well up alongside the inside, fair and square, and he just completely ran us down through the apex and off the racetrack now, as we were behind Kevin Magnussen, moving forward to P15 on the second lap of this race now, as Albon's going to lunge it up the inside. He spun us round as we slide off the racetrack. Now we'll get it back going, and now the beef is on. We've had it with Leclerc, we've had it now with Albon, we've had it with Raikkonen just recently in the Russian Grand Prix, and now we just cannot seem to escape problems.
I don't think I even need to say anything there. Wins one race earlier in the year and his ego goes through his head.
You hear the commentary. Obviously, I feel like I have every right to not be happy. I did take a wider apex there, but I don't really know. I don't know how you blame me on that one. Of course, that first lap, second incident with Albon was more on me, but the first one I think he ignited, and then he just kind of lost his mind there and said, I'm going to finish it off. Now, fortunately, we got the car going back really quickly, and we didn't really lose a whole lot of time, so we're already to the back of Latifi and George Russell. We have been a very outspoken rookie, to say the least, and a very aggressive rookie behind the wheel, and I think it's starting to pay the price, as some of these drivers are just not willing to cut us any many breaks. And now, as you can see, we're battling with Russell and Latifi, the pair of Williams drivers. They're going to really lean on each other right here. Hold on. We're going to go 3 wide up the inside. This is not a team I want to be messing with right here. And I mean, these two are going to keep going. Oh my goodness. Latifi sent it. Locks up the right front wheel. Fortunately, he's able to avoid contact, but they are leaning all over each other for me. Nowhere to go until we get down to the DRS straightaway coming up right here. Latifi's through, but he's struggling there. I have to lift again. Now DRS down this long straightaway activated now. Both myself and Russell should be able to split fellow Canadian of Nicholas Latifi, and sure enough, we get both the Williams, but I mean, think about the time we just gave up right there. Goodness gracious. But we'll get through at least into only 18th, and now we just try to set the fastest laps we can, because there was no holding back at this point, because we knew rain was coming, and drivers on softs are already pitting. Verstappen, Leclerc, Stroll, they've already come in, so they aren't even attempting to make it to the rain. And the rain, you can see the skies, they're getting overcast. The rain is just around the corner, and I was surprised to see no one try to stretch it. Hamilton comes in, Albon, Perez, Sebastian Vettel, my teammate of Daniel Ricciardo is going to come in. So we move up just by this, so far up into P9, but we're probably going to hopefully maybe be able to gain another spot or two before this runs its course. But nonetheless, we should be able to make it to the rain, and all of a sudden we have had our race completely changed into our favor, of now very much in the conversation for a top 10, maybe even better, as this race continues on, as we head down this front straightaway. And the rain was literally just a couple of laps away. Now Valtteri Bottas comes in from the lead, so that puts us up another position into P8 behind P7 of Roman Grosjean. It's Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly 1-2, and they are now, in my opinion, the favorites to win this race, because lap 8, well, guess what? The rain is here. Bottas is coming up behind me pretty quick, but by the end of this lap, the conditions had worsened enough, or quickly enough, that we are all going to have to scatter into the pit lane. So everybody that just jumped off those softs to get some tires on the mediums, or another set of softs like Sebastian Vettel, are all going to regret it, because they are going to have to make an additional pit stop right now. If they could have literally held on another lap or two, which I'm sure they could have, they would not be in this situation. Some drivers are going to actually elect to stay on the racetrack, including what looks like Lando Norris, as this could cost him. My teammate of Ricciardo is going to come in, so we're going to double stack, but we have hit the jackpot. Aside from the situation we had with Albon on lap 2, we have hit the jackpot, because now we are going to get one heck of a result here potentially tonight, or today, here from this French Grand Prix, as long as we keep our nose clean and keep the car on the racetrack now, as the rain is supposed to get pretty heavy a little bit later in the race. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Could that maybe bring out a safety car? DRS now disabled. Lando Norris is going to be coming into the pits at the conclusion of this lap, and everyone's going to, at the conclusion of this lap, by then get their intermediates on, and we're really going to see where things kind of shape up. I mean, look, we're still P8, and I think we're going to gain some more track position here momentarily. So very happy with the way things have kind of suddenly played out. Here comes Vettel, who stayed out an extra lap. Perez as well. Giovinazzi. So, I mean, we are into P5 here in the French Grand Prix. Now, think about if we didn't get spun out by Alex Albon. We would have probably been only probably third or so, or battling for second, maybe on the best side of this strategy, but we're at least still recovering to a solid effort here in 5th place. Valtteri Bottas has been struggling now to get past Antonio Giovinazzi, as we have run down Carlos Sainz, but as you can see, as we come to lap 10, the rain getting heavier every lap at this point. And how about Haas up here, currently on the podium with Kevin Magnussen? We've never seen a Haas car on the podium in Formula 1 before in their young history so far. The team, of course, that came in the 2016 season, trying to get on top here of the podium at some point, or to score any podium at all at this point now, as we are reeling in him and as well Carlos Sainz. Now, there's some rumors that we could be seeing a totally new lineup at Haas next season, so stay tuned on that. And as well, I heard Roman Grosjean might be actually expected to announce retirement as soon as the next episode in Baku, as we come to lap 12 at this point. And you can see for me, I mean, Bottas as well, he's not been able to pass Giovinazzi, and I haven't been able to pass anybody either. We're able to maintain very comfortably with Carlos Sainz as well as Kevin Magnussen, but I just don't have the speed and grip to outright outpace them them and get an opportunity to actually overtake them. So this race is going by pretty quick because, I mean, as sketchy as these conditions are, as difficult as they are, there's really not a lot going on right now. We're just kind of, you know, holding our own and doing what we need to be doing as we continue to close in again on Carlos Sainz. And now, I thought I was briefly going to be in a position to pass him, but it ended up not working out. So we come through to lap 17, and the pit window is open. So they don't think we can take these inters to the end of the race. We're going to need another set as we are all over the back of Sainz briefly there. And he, oh my goodness, drives it so deep into the corner. If only the corners were set up differently, we might have had an opportunity to just breeze past him right there. But obviously, unfortunately, it doesn't quite work out. So as we come now to lap 19, pit window still open, of course. I've decided to go a little bit longer as we've got yellows, and it's going to be, I believe, Kimi Räikkönen. I believe it's Räikkönen. It is Kimi Räikkönen there, who's going to have a mechanical failure, and it's going to be day over for him as we will continue on with the virtual safety car. It would end very quickly within the lap. The virtual safety car would conclude, and we would return to racing action as we go for a bit of a power slide right there. But I mean, the rain is just chucking it down in these final 10 laps of racing. I mean, honestly, I was surprised that we hadn't been asked yet to put on the wet compound tire, but as we come through to the end of lap 20, and look at this, I mean, the conditions are getting even worse. It's so difficult to see. The visuals are just not good. But as we come towards the tail end of this lap, I'm going to get surprised a little bit. Magnussen and Sainz are going to come in, and Valtteri Bottas is going to come in as well. Look at my corner. I just run a horrible corner there because I was kind of following them. Then I realized they were pitting a little bit too late. So as well, looks like we are going to see maybe more drivers. Lando Norris's pit. Pierre Gasly as well. We take the lead of the French Grand Prix, but you as well see my tire light has come on, so we're not going to make it to the end either. So at the end of lap 21, we're going to bite the bullet. We're going to come in as well. The inters were just not going to hang on. They wear quite a bit in this game, which is honestly great, as we'll come in and put another set of inters on. Now, interestingly enough, so Norris goes through, continues in the lead. Same for Pierre Gasly, who will continue in P2. Here comes Charles Leclerc. He's going to pass me, Verstappen, Magnussen, Bottas as well. But Carlos Sainz and McLaren, they have put the wets on Carlos Sainz's car. That is interesting because, as you can see, when we exit the pit lane, the conditions, yeah, it's still pretty heavy rain, but I just don't think it's going to last long enough to warrant putting on the wets. So as we come towards lap 23, I mean, we're into the final 5 laps of this French Grand Prix, and Sainz was holding his own on the wets. So, I mean, I'll give him credit where credit is due. He's doing a great job hanging on here inside the top 10 as we currently are P8. Wondering now, are we going to see, of course, a Ricciardo and a Verstappen stretch their tires to the end? Lewis Hamilton as well, and Charles Leclerc. They're all trying to stretch it to the end as we are now all over the back of Carlos Sainz. Now switching over to the left side. Here we go. Opportunity up the inside into turn number 1. We clear him at the apex. Now, can we go after Kevin Magnussen? That would put us into P6 as we were, of course, in the top, 5-ish, but we are going to have to wait to see who is going to pit and who's not going to pit here as we now roll up to the back of Kevin Magnussen down the long DRS straight. Of course, with no DRS, it's close quarters. Oh, we might have bumped wheels right there just a little bit. Now, this is not over. We continue fighting alongside the Haas here down the straightaway, losing grip, keeping it, I mean, head to head, wheel to wheel, but with the overtake on the battery, we're able to get ourselves in front. Verstappen up there in currently P4, but he is trying to take his interest to the end, but he is struggling. Bottas has gotten through as Lewis Hamilton has got issues. Hamilton's pulling over. His race is going to be over. Mechanical failure for the 6-time champion who leads the championship. And now that plays into the hands of Valtteri Bottas as we come into these final few laps of racing. 3 laps to go. We run P6 as we take a warning there for exceeding track limits, but we are on track for a career best result here today at the team's home race. Meanwhile, my teammate of Daniel Ricciardo, he's one of the drivers, like I said, trying to stretch it on one stop to the inters to get to the end of this race. Bottas has now gotten through on Charles Leclerc. Bottas now to the podium. He's about to make up some good points on Lewis Hamilton. As we approach now the final lap of racing, we are quickly reeling in Verstappen and Leclerc, and hold on, we've got some pit stops coming up here. Max Verstappen is coming into the pits as we round the final turn. He can't make it one more lap. He has to come in. My teammate of Daniel Ricciardo as well is going to come in. They both give in. Coming to the final lap, they tried to stretch it on one set of inters, but it just wasn't going to work out. Can we run down Leclerc before this race is over? I don't think we're going to get there. On this final lap of racing, we do cut the gap below 2 seconds, but Leclerc is going to be one of the drivers that succeeds and stretches these tires to the very end. But with Verstappen pitting, we move up into the 5th position, which is going to be a career high if we can finish this one out now, as Lando Norris is going to repeat Hungary. Same situation. He wins the French Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas will be in P3 behind Pierre Gasly, who's on the podium in P2, as we come through for a career best 5th place finish. And what a interesting, fascinating turn of events to weather through at the grid here today for the French Grand Prix.
What a race, guys. Thank you everyone for sticking with it, and I mean, career day for us, and awesome. Let's keep building upon this.
We also earn driver of the day here, rightfully so, I think. I mean, we went from the very back of the grid to a 5th place effort. Of course, if that was, like I said, a normal race where it was dry, you know, maybe we could have scored a point or two, but it obviously wouldn't have been anywhere close to what we just did with a 5th place effort. So just, I mean, ecstatic with this effort. I mean, what else could you really ask for out of that? Is Kevin Magnussen a great result as well for him and Haas, as you see Lando Norris celebrating his 2nd now career win of his Formula 1 career now in just his 2nd full-time season, as you see everyone else celebrate there on the podium now. As well, you see us there in that P5. Sebastian Vettel in P7. Rounding out the points was Perez and Lance Stroll as well. Raikkonen and Hamilton at the bottom of the grid with the DNFs. Ricciardo in 15th. Let's take a look at the standings. Hamilton's gap, oh, it's getting interesting here. Bottas is closing back in with a lot of help, of course, in today's episode, but Hamilton had a lot of help to stretch it out in Monza when Bottas had his mechanical failure as well. We as well continue to get closer to Ricciardo on points, but as a team, we currently sit in P7. I'll see you guys in the next one from Baku. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.